to my life, or like when Uber first came out and everybody was showing each other how to download it, how to log in, how to add what you're not. My current fixation is Lime bikes. I love them and I use them constantly. And if you get a minute bundle, you actually save 60% money wise when it comes to booking them. Well, what's that? No sound and blank screens, guys. Okay, cool. No worries. So what you have is you discover something new and then you want to share. So everybody demos all the time. But what drives you to share? And I think in our core, it's to help, or it's to help other people, or to improve. That's for me. That's how I feel when I demo. Who needs to demo? So if we've got different roles within Salesforce ecosystem, but I feel like what we do is default that consulting, we always demo because we build work and we show what we've done, and then we make sure it signs off the requirements. But also as an admin, if you're an admin in a company, you also need to demo effectively in order to sort of sell what are the new features or to get your users to use. And then I also find that when we're doing job seeking, we actually end up doing demos. So for the Salesforce interview process, you end up having to do a use case, a demo as one of your interviews, and you need to actually show your value selling skills kind of off the bat. You get some coaching, you get a buddy, and you get some training in order to do the interview process. How is this relevant to you as a BA? No slides. Okay, good. We're getting there. We're getting there, Misty. We're getting there. So how is this relevant? Business analysts are really important because actually the demo is all of your hard work coming to show. It's like a film director, producer has the vision and writes down all the requirements. You guys capture the requirements, you capture the use cases, you get all the nuance, and then what happens is we do the demo, or demo comes from a consultant or comes from the admin even, and those two need to match. If the demo isn't fit for purpose, you're actually able to get new requirements out of that because so much conversation happens during these demos. Or the other thing that I love about BAs is, while I'm demoing this the functions that they have been asked for by the business, this is based on my interpretation of the acceptance criteria or the use case. Now, my BAs jump in and support with the information that they know about the business processes. So we kind of work as a team. I love being interrupted when I'm doing my demos, especially if it's with helpful information and even if it's with difficult questions. But at the end of the day, if the demo doesn't hit, the business comes to you. If the demo does hit, the business comes to you because they want to add more requirements or they're super excited. And if the demo is confusing, they're going to come to you. So it really is quite relevant. And as Vanessa was saying, she's done demos. I'm not sure, like, I feel like if you've written the requirements well enough and I've built the solution, not perfectly, but to those requirements, it should be usable enough for a BA to be able to go in and go, well, this is what we asked for, and this looks quite intuitive. I can click through this and I can see how a bit of a journey. We have know your audience, know the business. These are the 5 steps to how to do a demo effectively. Know where your solution hits. A value map, which is unique to Salesforce, which is how we sell the value of Salesforce and the features that you get in your license, and to the strategic goals or values of the company. And then finally, I made a practical checklist at the end. Right, so GameSphere, I completely made up with the help of ChatGPT. So I just made this use case probably 20 minutes before I joined on this call. GameSphere is a fake company that's based in London that is wanting to bring games back into the hands of its people. So in this talk, I'm going to use them as my use case just to demonstrate the 5 different steps to how to demo like a Salesforce Solution Engineer. So we know that this company does games and that they want to make a sales pipeline. That's it. That's all we know at the moment. I'm going to give you an example of a point-and-click demo, which I used to do when I first started as an implementation consultant, where GameSphere we've built them, leads process. Now, if I was doing point-and-click, which you can do, right? Because people do this. This is just your default. You've had a long day, you're tired, you've got a requirement, and the requirement says, I can add a lead into Salesforce. So I go, hi, everyone on the call. This is how you add a lead. I'm going to put in the salutation. I'm going to put in the first name, Jeff. I'm going to put in the last name, my last name. And then I need to fill in, we'll say game owner. Okay, cool. And I will save. And that is an example, is a very quick example of point and click. Now, I used to default to this if it was a long day just to show and prove that we'd built the thing that had been asked for. But ultimately, what you're going to find is they come running to you and go, what was that? And how are we using that? And why? I mean, who is this woman? And why are we doing this? Is the point and click sort of thing. And it depends on if you're talking directly to the person who asked you for the requirements, or if you're actually presenting to a room of 30 people, maybe users, or actually the director of the company. So that point and click is probably not the most helpful thing. So to give more context, chapter 1 is know your audience. So who are you actually demoing to, and what are you trying to explain to them, and how is this actually going to fit into what the business are looking for? Because the first slide we had, they're just wanting a sales process and leads and opportunities. But what we actually want to know is what's their mission, who are the people that we're going to be speaking to. So GameSphere wants to get physical games back into the hands of people. So we're going from online services. This company's whole goal is to go back to hands-on games cartridges that they can't deactivate, that don't disappear, that don't have to have paywalls to get to the next part if you want to own them. So they're trying to revive physical ownership in the gaming world. I know it might be a lost cause just because we're so digital, but this is their main focus, right? So when we take into consideration knowing our audience, we know that they are passionate about physical games, that their objective is to sell these games physically, and that they are trying to find new markets, right? So when we're doing this demo again, we know that we actually have sales representatives in the room. There's one marketing team person. There's a sales manager who's obviously got some KPIs, and actually customer support is probably going to be on that call as well. So the demo that I just did before was very much, you told me you want leads, and I showed you a lead. The way in which you can redo that demo again is actually, even with the subtle app change of GameSphere sales, you've already made it relatable to them. And you can say, as the sales for GameSphere, I need to get the gamer details to make sure that we have first name and last name to identify them, that we want them to be an owner, but it's really important that we give them a rating because we want to have a hot sale. We want to be able to categorize the people that we're trying to sell to work out whether they're interested or not. And because this is a physical game company, we actually need to capture their address, and it's really important to have that. So your salespeople would be able to then work out exactly what products they're interested in, games-wise, where they're physically located at, and this is then going to help us to then send out games that we then want them to purchase in the long term, kind of like Netflix vibes in the early days. So with that, I've done the exact same thing, but I've actually given more context to the people that I'm speaking to in that demo. So the salesperson has been spoken to directly. And then I've also explained why it's important for the sales manager as well. And then a bit of marketing and a bit of customer care kind of gets the idea on why that address is so important. So with that, knowing the audience, while I was demoing, I'm not the salesperson, but I was explaining that if we capture that address, we'll be able to sell to them. We'll be able to send them samples, and we'll be able to do that. That speaks to the people that are in the room. The other point is when you do that, you grab their attention and then they go, I don't want that. That's not what I want. We actually need to capture not just the physical address of where they live, but we also would like to capture what their gaming preference is, what kind of gaming hours that they do, and then you can catch more requirements that way as well. Because these people have different objectives, and their objectives are, I need to sell, I need to manage people that sell, and marketing needs to work out how they can capture information to market. So that was chapter 1, and that's the 4 different personas that I had sitting in the room that I'm trying to sell to. Are there any questions about not the troubleshooting? Cool. Okay, awesome. So that was the how to be relatable. Second part that I kind of learned when I was at Salesforce, again, which I actually have brought back into my implementation, is understanding the business. Is having tech issues a way to be relatable? Absolutely, genuinely. So people make a business. But what we do at Salesforce is we would kind of stalk them and build up a giant profile of like, what are their goals, what are their values, what do they care about, what are they good at, what are they not good at, and what's their culture like, what's their leadership like. And I know it sounds kind of intensive, but you can actually do it quite quickly. So if you know the room that you're going into and you know that your salespeople are wonderful, but your sales manager is anti-technology or keeps having glitches, then you know that they're probably going to be resistant to anything that you're showing. So you can be prepared to hear their negative comments, right, on the person level. When you get into the business side of things, obviously, if you know how they work and what their public values are, then you know how to communicate to them what the Salesforce solution is going to do for them as a business and how it's going to help them reach those goals. So understanding the business that you're speaking to, or understanding the challenges that they have. And so in this little example here, when I thought this up just before this call, yes, we want to do the restoring of tangible joy of gaming ownership and owning games physically, but let's be honest, the actual game sales and gaming market, sales have fallen by 35%. Post-COVID, there's been a significant decrease. And then consumer preferences is that they're actually going off physical games. And they're preferring to do the subscription games. Now, that knowing that then means that they know what their challenges are, or you can then propose while you're building out the solution ways in which this can be helpful to them. Or you can even challenge them on the call and ask them, are you aware of these challenges? Because it's going to grab their attention. And what are your plans to mitigate these? And what's your marketing plan? And get more information out of them as you go. So with that, this is kind of using Salesforce to get information out of them, but then use Salesforce to answer why you need Salesforce, or why you're using it this way, or why we're capturing leads. So with that, I would go into campaigns and then say, there's a way in which you can organize your campaigns. And your marketing team has demonstrated that they'd actually like to hold exclusive events for physical gamers to come to a conference in order to connect with each other and offer limited games from partners. So from the gaming companies that are creating these unique physical games, we want to connect them to the conference attendees and then create this unique sort of group that only do these games, these physical games, and you're creating like an elite gaming group within the community. And then with that, I would explain to them the function of campaigns and how we could use that to pair them up together or run these conferences. And that's making it more relevant because we're looking at the business values, like what's the strategy? What are we trying to do as a business on that level? What are the challenges that they're trying to face? I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions, just because there's a lot of chat, but I'm not sure what. Cool. Right. The third step is know where your solution hits. So knowing that when you have the person that you're pitching to, the business that you're pitching to, so you know the challenges and you know who they are, then that's when you kind of tie it all together and you take the overall business objectives and the company values, and then you align them to the functions within your demo or what you're showing them on the screen, or in this case, as a Salesforce Solution Engineer, specifically the licenses and the features and the functions. So if we had AI, we'd talk about streamlining how we do the ordering system. If we had case management, where we have someone whose game didn't arrive in the post, or they tried to swap a game with somebody, or their ticket to the conference didn't arrive. So you're going to try and link that back through. And we do that at the end of our demos at Salesforce to tie it all in and bring it all home. And you can do the same thing when you're pitching why this business requirement was built, what it was for, and then how it's going to help in the bigger picture of things. So with that, we create a value alignment matrix, which was heavily used when I was at Salesforce, where you take the strategic goals of the company from the research and the conversations that you've had with them, you work out what the value is, and then you link that to the Salesforce metric, and you explain to them, if we capture the lead source tracking we capture a win rate on your opportunities, and we get all the customer feedback when we do closure, we're actually going to be able to have this impact on your business, which is like gathering insights to enhance your service quality, honing in on those specific users that you want to sell games to, that you want to be in this elite community that you're creating, improving your forecasting to then be able to better plan your conferences and maybe go global. And you're doing this value alignment to pull everything together. And that was huge at Salesforce. And I didn't realize that when I was working in consulting. You can still do that when you're talking about feature functions. It doesn't just need to be a click and show, but you can say, this is going to benefit you as the salesperson. This is going to benefit you as the case manager. This is going to benefit you as the CEO, because you'll be able to use these dashboards to see these insights. Instead of just showing the dashboard and going, and here's all your data, you're actually explaining to them how they can use that in order to further the business strategic goals. And so for this presentation that I've done today, here would be the strategic goals and values that we would get from doing a demo like a Salesforce Solution Engineer. We want to engage the stakeholders. We want to improve the company buy-in or improve buy-in to listen to this full demo and see all the features and functions that I've had. You want to let those that you're speaking to in that demo have a voice and say how they feel or explain themselves as well. So earlier when I said, this is how we capture leads, how are you going to do your marketing strategy? Here's some campaigns. This is how we're showing. Giving strategic examples, engaging the audience, give, pretty much restate why you're there. So at the start, I said, why is this relevant to you as a BA? Because you ultimately will be the first port of call if the demo doesn't make sense. Or even if the person presenting the demo says, this is how you enter a lead, and then the business goes, why? And probably the person who built it's going to go, I don't know. That's just what the requirement said. So it's going to come back to you. The metrics that you would get from that is if you can do an effective demo, or you can support as a BA an effective demo that is nailing those requirements that you wrote, then what you're going to get is increased user adoption, which is key. Change management is so much easier. You can actually sign off your requirements so much faster when you have 5 people in the room all agreeing that they're happy with what's been built, because it comes back to you. So if you wrote those requirements and you communicated them well to the business and then back to the developer or the implementation consultant, and everything is exactly as they asked for, you can move on, which is also a wonderful feeling. And then you also identify your champion users. So whoever's the most vocal, be it negative or positive in these demos, the naysayers actually do mostly turn out to be champions. They're naysayers because they're worried, or they're naysayers because they're concerned that it's not going to fulfill the need that they need for the business. They're not doing it for fun. They're not doing it because they enjoy being negative. And I always find they're the ones that end up being the strongest champions. And then you also have your champions, but they're the people that speak up in demos that I find most of the time. Any questions on this? Cool. So this is the thing I think that hit home with me the hardest when I went from implementation to Salesforce Solution Engineer. And I was like, this is the why. This is the, why are you guys here? Why am I here? Because this is how to demo like a solution engineer, but you're all BA. So why would I be here? What a random topic. And I'm so glad that half of you have been able to hear it today. But yeah, this is the why. And then this is the thing that really hits it home. And you can do it large scale like this, or you can do it even in demoing how the Line Bike app gets me a Line Bike every time I need to go from A to B. You end up talking about the benefits of that, because these are the benefits that I get from using Line Bike and not catching a bus or not trying to use the tube and that sort of thing. So with that, I just made a very quick checklist, and it's researched the company. So it's a checklist that I actually run through before I join on any demos, but always research the company, work out what drives them, because if they're fun, chatty, or if they are socially focused, or if they're environmentally focused, you can modify your messages in your demos to sort of catch those values as well, and it's relatable. Or any examples that you're going to give, or any focus that you have. I always start with your name, your role, so that they know who you are, because I've been to a few demos where I've been like, who is this person? Why are they talking? Is this somebody that I need to be listening to, or is this just an introduction to the session? When you're doing your demos, always note down what they're saying. Always have a pen and paper, because they tell you stuff that they never told you in the first place. You'll get new requirements, or you'll get new use cases, and that's when you find out about things that they didn't know that they needed because they hadn't seen Salesforce, they hadn't seen it in action. But that's when you also find out about things that they didn't want to tell you at the time that you were gathering your requirements, because they didn't want to be like, not negative, but they didn't want to add too much. They didn't think it was important, or they didn't think it was necessary. But once they've seen something, you actually find out there's more requirements from that. And some of them are really important. Like, if we don't do this, then we break this, or if we don't do this, we don't meet our legal requirement. So many new requirements have come out from doing demos. Whenever you're playing something back, you can always quote them. They love that. So if you've done requirement gathering and they've said specifically that it must be done this way, or this is the value of our company, or they've had a catchphrase that they say over and over and over again. My one's Kiwiisms. There's some things that I say. You quote them back to them, or you say, you said in that meeting that we had last week, then you grab their attention again, but you also hold them accountable for the requirements that they asked for. So never be afraid to quote your customers. And always allow for 25% more time, because you just never know if it's going to glitch, if your demo is going to break, or if people are going to struggle to actually see the demo while you're presenting it. So those are my top tips. And you'll see I actually do most of this stuff, like just treating it like a conversation, trying to get more information out of people, or even just hearing positive feedback when they're like, oh, this is amazing, and letting them say it, let them talk, and let them have their piece to say. Final slide from me. These are some of the tools that I use, and these are the training that I've done. So I've used Focus on Force for my implementation knowledge. Tactic is an AI tool that I use to take notes while I am on meetings and calls. It jots the notes down, and then you can use AI to summarize. Trailblazer Community is my top resource for practicing how to present and practicing how to do demos, because you can sign up to the user groups, dev group, women in tech, this group, and you can do what I'm doing right now and present to the screen and practice your demos if you so need to. And with that, I will hand back to the team. So thank you for having me.
Yay, thank you, Jasmine. I'm so sorry for the so I'll ask a question. Do you have any big demo success stories or horror stories? I would be interested in both.
Yes. So a success story, I think, was the way I did a demo. I had a really big client at Salesforce, and they didn't really know what they wanted. And so it was one of those weird ones where you do a discovery. So you're trying to learn them, trying to learn their values. And I did a lot of research. So I did all the stalking. And nobody would really solidly say, because we were more at the strategic talking and more of the strategic goals. But at the same time, they asked for a demo. And so I didn't want to do the point and click, because that would be boring. That's just going to make them fall off the face of the earth and think this is awful. So what I did was, in my stalking, I actually turned it into, I worked out what I thought their key areas would be. I made little tiles on the slide presentation that connected to the different demo slides that I have. There was only a couple. And then I did a pick. I did a you choose. So I had prepared little mini demos on the different areas, but I didn't really know what they were going to be excited about or what they cared about. So what I did was I asked them to pick, and I'd actually prepared like a mini demo of each one. And then using that, they said, oh, we want to, like, it's kind of like a game show when they're like, I choose that square and I choose that square. And from there, we were able to only do small snippets, but then understand, okay, what are they actually looking for? Because they would never tell us. And then off the back of that, we were able to make better demos from that kind of sales perspective. But otherwise, I think if I hadn't have done that, it would have been horrible, because you're trying to read a mind of a room of blanks. People aren't giving you anything. And so it would have just been a bit of a mess. So I'm quite proud of that. And I would recommend that to anybody who is, even when you're running a workshop, when you're like, where should we start? And you know how people are just really shy and they don't want to start talking, or they don't know the start of their process. Like, their process starts here, but they're somewhere here. So they can't really work out. So you just pick a square, any square, and just like go from there, and then it can web out. So yeah, that was, I would call that a success. We didn't win that deal, but I call that a success from a demo perspective. Horror stories, so many. And you know what's so funny? I actually laughed because I want to share my screen, actually, because the latest update from Salesforce, right, has these where we'll go to the main page, homepage, put me back into the sales. They have curved edges on these dashboards, like curved edges on their UI. This man yelled at me because one of the main issues was people thought that I was Salesforce. I am Salesforce. So whatever I'm showing them, I have the magical ability to talk to some person behind a curtain who's pushing all the buttons to change. And this stuck in my mind with these release notes because he was angry that all the edges were sharp and he wanted the UI to be more smooth and rounded. And that was about 5 years ago. He kind of went off at me for maybe a good 10 minutes about how the UI is ugly. And then he went through this long list of all the things that he hates about Salesforce. And you feel like a bit of a therapist, you let him go. And then he told me that I need to fix it. And I went, okay, I'll make a note of that because that's all you can do, really. I mean, I don't know the guy, but this release has it. So I don't know I can't remember his name. I don't know who he worked for, but I hope he's happy now because someone changed it. So yeah.
Your case finally got closed.
Right. I didn't even submit a case. I just said, okay. But yeah, so I mean, it's just when you get people on a bad day or they forget that you're a human. And that you are also like you can make mistakes or you don't control Salesforce because it's just a tool. Yeah, those are my ones.
Oh, I think we all wish we could control Salesforce every once in a while. We do have a question.
Cool.
So they said, so this is from Vidya. I have no direct experience as a solution engineer, and when I look out for roles, it gets difficult since my experience has been completely as a Salesforce admin. So how do I do it?
Yeah, practice presentations and practice demos would be the first thing I would say. Are you saying how would you do solution engineer? Like how would you get the job as a solution engineer?
I'm not sure what the specific would mean, but I would say, yeah, why don't you, maybe we could ask, oh yeah, how would you get the job? I think is what she's specifically. But I'd also ask what qualities make a good solution engineer? And full disclosure, I did not time this way. I actually had somebody from Salesforce reach out to me if I was interested in a solution engineer role in the last week. Like,
wow.
so they are looking for folks with like business analysis skills because I don't think I've ever posted about my amazing technical skills on LinkedIn. So just throwing that out there. But Jasmine, I'll let you take it away as far as like how does one go about becoming a solution engineer, and what are the qualities you think that make a good solution engineer?
Yeah, cool. That's awesome that they reached out and they are looking. They always are looking. First call. So this demo org that I use just to answer this one on the platform. I use the Trailhead what are they called? Playgrounds, right? To do your practice. Sales service, they're your core. So core SEs, there's more roles. If you are a fanatic for a specialist product that is Salesforce, there are less solution engineer roles, but when they do come up, there's not that much competition. So if you love like a special feature or a specific cloud, use the Trailhead playgrounds to play around in those products. Presentation skills and the literal value selling. So pretty much what I've shown you is how you would do that interview in order to you would ace that interview in order to get through to the third, fourth round. The way that, and this is, I don't know if this is still being recorded, but the way that I got into my job was because the referral is a real thing. You do need a referral because so many people apply. So I think the referral, having someone refer you through or be that referral on your application does help. And then the next part is solving problems or solution. Like, I know it sounds really cheesy, but if you like solving problems and you can think of different ways to use licenses to address use cases, or that you can learn about the licenses and the products, but your approach to having a conversation with a person, instead of just being a yes/no questionnaire, which actually as BAs, you should be great at this. So you want to go open-ended questions. The BA skills absolutely come into play because you need to understand who you're talking to, why, and what's their motivations. So you guys are halfway there. Practice your presentation skills when it comes to the demo side of things, like leads, how to do a lead, what we're doing, how we're doing it. So what I've shown you today. But then it's also the ability, I think the main thing that I learned going into solution engineer is you don't have to have an answer for everything, and you need the ability to answer questions honestly. So you say either I'll find the information, or I have the answer, or I don't have the answer for that, because they test you in the interview and they ask you really difficult questions that they know you don't know the answer to, because that product hasn't even come out yet. And I swear they are checking if you're going to lie and say something just to appease them. And I think that's a core solution engineer. It's a challenge, because if you say, I don't think you should do it that way, or I don't think that's the best way to do it, or no, I don't have the answer, you feel like you're letting people down. But actually, that's your job. And your salesperson was to say yes, 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 yes. And AEs say yes, yes, yes to everything. Okay, cool. Our job as a solution engineer is to be that reality check, because it's our recommendation and it's what we demo that inspires our customers to then take that product. And when it doesn't do what you say it does, they come straight back for you. So you have to be honest. You have to be honest, and you have to be transparent in that sense. Does that answer the question?
Thoroughly. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah. I'll throw it out if anybody has any last questions for Jasmine. And I I know you're like, oh, it may seem that it's weird that I'm here. I have from the time I started really diving into business analysis work, I always have been the one to do the demo, like
Oh, cool.
almost always.
Yeah.
What I find generally, and I'm just going to ramble a little bit while I wait for questions, see if anybody has any. But what I found generally is, because I tend to be the closest to the stakeholders that I've interviewed, I can usually put that story together.
Yeah.
And so as long as and also, since I'm writing the user stories, especially if it's like a sprint demo or something like that, I can usually kind of rearrange the stories in a way that makes sense to kind of go through, like, okay, today I'm going to be Sally, the solution, person, or the salesperson, and oh, you guys had. Sometimes I'll even bust out their old org and
Yeah.
go, this is what the process was here, and here's what it is now, and this covers these 5 story guys, and actually, one question I will ask: what is the most people that you've demoed for?
Ooh. I think it was something like maybe 80 to 100 on a webinar when I first started at Salesforce, literally like 3 days into it.
Oh my God.
Because COVID started the day I started at Salesforce, so I was working from home. That was the most. And I think my accent was really strong, and I was demoing a product that I really had to quickly learn. But I didn't get time to learn the script. So at Salesforce, they do like quite a lot of scripting, but I'm not very good at reading scripts, let's just say. And I sort of ad-libbed as I was going through explaining everything that was happening on the screen. But I think it was 80 people, but the chat went off because I was using Kiwi words that with my accent sound rude. And so I can't say certain numbers, and I have to say slide presentation. I can't say the other way. But I said all the wrong words. And so the chat was going off because people weren't really following why I would be randomly throwing rude words into the middle of my presentation. But yeah, that was the largest one I've done. I think.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No,
No new questions have come in, but I'm going to say that's because you were so thorough, and we're all taking it in. Thank you so
yeah, no
much.
worries. Cool. It was nice to be here. And yeah, if anybody does have any questions that follow up, or wants the slides or anything like that, I can share them.
Excellent. And how should people reach you?
LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, deployjoy.co.uk. But mostly LinkedIn. I'll answer those ones as well. Yeah, that's it. That's the 2 ways. But there's no phone number. It's all email.
Awesome. If you want to throw your LinkedIn in the chat, I can pin it.
Cool. I will do that.
All right.
Nice.
I'm going to move into our news portion, like I'm a newscaster here. Somebody already put it up there. They beat you to it.
Thank you, Hakan. Thank you. That's awesome. Also,
excellent.
Vidya. Oh no, that was the old question. We're good. Yeah.
All right. So Moving into well, first, I think I said thank you enough, but I'm also a little sleep deprived, and I'm very, very grateful. Okay, now moving into Salesforce BA news and opportunities. If I can, come on, there we go. Oh, hey, look, Pay has a book that you can donate. And this is a charity thing. Like, this is, Pay is always speaks about her work at Samaritans, and I want to make sure that we're supportive of it. So you can send money to a great cause and also get a copy of her wonderful book. So I will probably keep promoting this for a while because I think it's
Thank
important,
you.
and we don't have that many resources for us Salesforce BAs. Also, I'm going to keep mentioning this for the rest of the year because I also think this is important. Everybody should be getting their AI specialist certification. Everybody should be getting their AI associate certification. Honestly, that AI associate, if you don't pass it, it's probably because you were born to be a supervillain. It is not that difficult. So it's just basically like, should you go and sell your company's data and throw it all into the AI? If you say yes, maybe go through a few more modules, but it's all on Trailhead, guys. Also, they have the virtual classes. There's a whole bunch that are available now, a lot taking place this week. I'm going to be in one tomorrow. I did the Get Started with Agent Force. They give you like a little certificate too. So when you do the free class, you get a little certificate you can throw on LinkedIn. So gonna mention it and keep mentioning it because I think it's important and might as well get it while it's free. Also, exciting news. Uh, Pay and I will be hosting Salesforce BAs at the Community Cove at Trailblazer DX. We just got the news. We're not on the agenda yet, but we will be there with bells on. Well, maybe bells. I don't know. We'll see. We haven't coordinated our outfits yet, but we're working on it. So certainly you can find both of us at Trailblazer DX. I think price for Trailblazer DX, I think I want to say it's like $200 or 99 if you're a community group leader. But we had a great turnout at Dreamforce. That picture there is actually from the Salesforce BA group at Dreamforce. So that picture plus pay is what the experience at TDX will be like. We hope to see you there. Then also, MVP nominations are open until February 7th. Nominate a BA. You don't have to nominate a BA. There's many worthy people, but I wanted to throw on some of the folks that have been wonderful in supporting our community, and I want to support them. So throwing in Leanne on there. We've got Jasmine, if you want to give her, you don't work for Salesforce anymore, so you could be an MVP now if you want to. Tracy, Ian, but there are many great people that are in our community championing business analysis, and otherwise, of course, feel free to nominate whoever you please. But I just wanted to throw a plug in and let you guys know that nominations are open if you so choose. They are also like college essay forms, so like get a snack and some water before you start one of those nominations. Just a heads up. Okay. Calls for speakers. As Jasmine said earlier, there's a whole bunch. Yeah, Check Dreamin' I have on there. So there's a whole bunch that are looking right now. Tahoe Dreamin'. I'm actually helping vet some of those sessions. So I mean, not that I have all the power in the world, but I do like BA sessions and lots of sessions. But if you have a good session, or if you can, if your demo abstract sounds compelling, whatever, then throw stuff in. Albania Dreamin', London's Calling. I will actually be at London's Calling this year, so if you want to hang out with me in the UK, submit to speak or just buy a ticket. But I'll be doing my submissions as well. Dreamin' in Color is going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina this year. Southeast Dreamin' in Atlanta. MC Squared is like a marketing-y one. But if you're in India and want to talk about marketing-y stuff, cool. I mean, maybe there's certainly business analysis happens in marketing. Maravis, if you want to support the vets, the transitioning vets and spouses that are moving into the Salesforce ecosystem, that call for speakers is also open. And that one is virtual, guys. They are definitely looking for speakers. Please feel free and to reach out. And a lot of the stuff that they want to hear from the transitioning veterans is it doesn't even have to be specifically business analysis. It could be about where you were at in your career journey or advice that you have along the way. And I always say, like, I know a lot of folks are like, oh, I don't know enough to speak. You are an expert about wherever you are at in your career. And so again, I want to encourage you to share where you are at, and maybe you'd be able to inspire somebody. And if you didn't, then at least you'd have some practice speaking and you'll do better next time. Okay, cool. Check Dreamin' and Buckeye Dreamin'. Or come speak to our group. This link over here, this QR code, goes to a Google form that Pay is manning. So we are always happy to have business analysis topics here. That's the big thing, is, are they BA topics? I think that might be, yes, that's there. There we go with the thank you. And so thanks, everybody. Don't leave if you want to hang out for some unfiltered Salesforce business analysis chat. So spicy business analysis chat. But we're going to end the recording here and see you guys next month, and stick around if you want to chat.